Hey everyone, welcome back to our video. In this video we are going to learn about how to start building a pivot table. Alright, and we will learn a little more about it than just starting a pivot table. Okay, so we have a data here of date, buyer, type of expense, and amount of expense. Alright, so we have our data here which is sorted, which is do not includes blanks, that must be removed for creating a pivot table as we discussed in our previous videos. And also this is a table. Okay, so now we can start working on that to prepare a pivot table. So to do that I will just select this whole data by pressing Ctrl A. Now I will just go to insert tab and insert pivot table from table range. So it is asking whether I want to prepare a pivot table on table 1, which is this that I have selected, and then it is asking choose where you want to pivot table to be placed. So on default it is telling me that to prepare a pivot table on a new worksheet, but I do not want that. I just want my pivot table on my existing worksheet. So I will just select this one, and now it is asking me the location where I want to put my pivot table. So I just want it here on F2. So I'll just select F2 as a location and press OK. Alright, so this is how we can start preparing our pivot tables. And sometimes there must be cases where you will not be able to see this pivot table fields section. Alright, so I will just close it for now so I can make you see how to open it if you are not seeing that pivot table fields tab. Okay, you will just go to pivot table analyze and then press field list. So see, in this case you will have your pivot table fields, which is much required for you to prepare a pivot table. Okay, so up to now what we have learned is that we wanted to prepare a pivot table, so we have a data, so common data, and we adjust it like we remove our blank rows and columns, prepare it, uh, and convert that data into a table, right, and remove the blanks. Okay, this is the first section, and then we insert a pivot table from by selecting the whole table, the whole data that on which we want a pivot table, and go to insert and insert tab, and then go to insert pivot table. Okay, now what we want is to make a pivot table. Alright, because after inserting a pivot table option we will get these fields through only which we can prepare our pivot table. Okay, so let's see what it is telling us. So it have fields like date, buyer, type, amount. Okay, so we will learn like that. First we will learn what are value fields, and then what are row fields, sorry, and what are column fields. So we will cover these things into this video, and we will learn a little bit about each or every this, and we will learn a little thing about this, and we will learn a little about these options. Alright, so let's start with value fields. So now you can see that these pivot table fields have three columns: filter, column, rows, and values. And these three we are going to talk about it. And but first the value fields only. Okay, so let's see our source data. We have our dates, buyer, type, and amount. Okay, now you can see that date is not a value, the buyer names are not value, the type of expense is not value, the amount is values. Okay, so yes, we can use the value field for the column amount only. How to do that? I'll just uh, select it. You see, it has provided me the total sum total of the amount that was in my source data, that was 69,977. Okay, and if we do not get it by default by selecting on this column, by selecting on this selection, we can also do it by putting it manually. Like I will just drag it from here to values. So see, same thing we are getting as our value field. And yeah, what will happen if we use something uh, under value fields which are not values, like names we have in our buyer column? What will happen then? Let's see. If we choose it under value field, so it is giving me the count of the buyers instead of total sum of the buyers. Okay, why? Because for the names, the pivot table cannot uh, add up the values under names within names. Okay, that makes sense. That is not possible, so it is just providing us the count. Okay, so let's just go back to amount. It's providing me the sum of the amount. We can change this function from sum to anything we want. Like we have options. We want count instead, we want average instead, max, minimum, product, and count numbers. You may not will be using that, but yeah, just for the information, we can change it function. Just for example, I am changing it to max. Alright, so the max amount we have spent uh, basis the data source is 4047. Okay, I'll just now reverse it by choosing sum again and press OK. Alright, so this is how we use our value fields. And yeah, now coming to row fields. What are the row fields, right? So after looking at this number, we have the total amount of spent of that is about 69,977. But what we do not have is that the specific date, buyer, or the type of spend that we have that have cost that spent to us. We do not have that, but we want to see. Obviously, we will be want to see where is that spend is being going on, so that we can check out the major factors behind that. Okay, and how to check these things? We will use our row columns. Sorry, my bad, row fields. So this one is the row field. How it will be useful to us? For example, I want to know uh, this is my total spent amount, right? But what I want to know right now is which person have spent the most and which person has spent the least. So I want the bifurcation of this sum total. So I'll just take it as buyer to row columns. You see, I have bifurcated my total of spent with the name of buyers. So dad have spent about 15,444 rupees or dollars, anything, and Kelly have spent 28,000, and mom have spent 26,000. Okay, so this was just one thing, and if we do not just want buyer name, but we want type of spend they have made, right? So I'll just deselect buyer number, sorry, buyer selection, and I will select now type. We can do it manually also if the selection is not as per your of desire. Alright, but this is what I desired to get type as rows. Okay, so I don't have to do it manually. Okay, so what I can see here is we have bifurcation of the spent we have prepared. So the groceries are here, which is a major factor of the spent, and after that there is restaurant. So basically, I think they were spent mostly for the uh, food, right? Okay. So now let's see. This is just one thing that I have bifurcated my data in just with just one selection, that is buyer or type. But what if I want both of them? What will happen then? So in that case, we can use both of them. We have that option 2. For example, I'll just select buyer also as my rows, and now I can see that it have make the groups of expense. So first we have type and then we have buyer. So my primary group is the type of spend, and the secondary group we have is the buyer who have made that spend. Okay, so now I can see that the books spent is 1991, and we have the bifurcation of for that which person have spent what amount on the books. All right, so Kelly have spent 1574, Dad has spent 108, and Mom has spent 10309. And for each and every spend you can see that bifurcation. And another thing, if you do not want our type as your primary group, and you want buyer as your primary group, you can just drag it above the type. So I just drag the buyer above the type. Alright, so sometime you may not want to see the secondary group, although you do not want to change the structure of the pivot table. So in that case you can just do it manually by grouping, by closing the grouping. Like I can just click on this minus sign and close the group. Alright, so you can see that I'm just seeing the total spend for that, and not seeing the uh, expenses, right? So you can do it manually, and also you can do it automatically for each and every group. How? Let's see. You will just do right click here. Okay, now it is asking me what to do. What do you want? You want to expand or the collapse the group? So what I want here is I would just want to collapse the entire field, the row field. Okay, expand, it is already expanding you, so I don't want to do that. I just want to collapse this entire field. So I'll just select here and see I have successfully collapsed the entire field by just one click. And another thing, you can also add the third primary group. Okay, like date. So I'll just drag it on the top of this row list. So now you can see that we have first primary group, that is months, then day, then date, and then our buyer. Alright, so one thing about the date adding into row labels, or we can say row field, which is that if we add our date into row field, then it automatically add three fields also with that. Like I just add date here, and it have added days and month date. Alright, so if you don't want that, you just want month, or you just want days, or you just want date, you can just remove it, uh, remove the others, sorry. Like I just want months here, so I will just remove the days and date. Alright, so now I can see that I have my uh, primary group as month, months, and then buyer, and the most secondary group is our type of expense. So now I just want to close the entire field, so I will just go to any column, any cell you can use, you can choose, except for the headings. So within the field you want to collapse the field, you can just choose anything, any cell. So I'll just press right click here and then expand or collapse. So collapse entire field. So see, this is how we can do it. This is how we can use the row fields within the pivot tables. Alright, so now we can see that we have mostly covered our two things, value fields and row fields, for our video. Alright, so last thing what I am teaching you for this video is the column fields, how to use it, right? And before starting that, let's just uh, remove this uh, list to uh, here, so that we can prepare a pivot table here. So otherwise there will be overlapping, and one thing you have to know that a pivot table do not allows overlapping. Okay, if you want example here, you can just see that. But if I add type as a column, so see, it is not allowing me overlapping the pivot table to another data. And if we press OK, then we will lose our data uh, up to the point, up to the range on which our pivot table is overlapping. So I don't want that. So I'll just press no and remove my data first, and after that I will start preparing my pivot table. Okay. So last thing is column fields, and why to use it, how to use it. Let's see. It's quite simple, by the way, because as if you have understand, I'm very sure you must have understood the rows, fields and value fields. So now it must be very easy for you to understand column fields too. Okay. So now you can see that. Um, let's see. Uh, let's just remove the months and dates from here and expand this entire field first. Expand entire field. So now we can see that we have our primary. So we have our primary group and secondary group here. Okay, and yeah. So this must be tiring for you. This must not be actually uh, too much presentable for you to see this primary group and secondary group each time, and you have to uh, first collapse it and then expand it once again, and you may be wanting to have a proper table for your data, right? Which is a common desire, which is a common demand, right? So we have an option to use some of the uh, bifurcations with column. Okay, let's see how to check that. So we are using two type of things here. One is uh, a buyer and another is type. So basis them we are bifurcating our spend, and uh, and yeah, we are seeing seeing our spend bifurcated by these two groups. All right, but we can use one of that bifurcation group under column. So I can just drag it from rows, the type of expense from rows to column. Okay, so now we can see that we have our uh, the buyer names under row field and type of spend they have made under column field. Now which is giving us data into much more presentable way. Okay, so this is how we use column fields under pivot tables. So yes, this was it about value fields, row fields, and column fields in pivot table. All right, and yeah, in next videos we will learn more about pivot tables. So please stay tuned. And if you have any query or feedback, please write it down in the comment box. And please also practice these things yourself with the exercise files into the description box. All right. Yeah. Stay tuned. Happy learning. Bye.